Well, hello, my name's Andy Tidy and welcome to another edition of Canal Hunter. In the last episode of Canal Hunter, we took a look at the latest collection of archive photos of the Toll End Communication Canal, and I attempted to recreate this lost waterway using an interlinking set of photographs, and I indicated a desire to make some more updated photo streams of the other lost waterways in the region. Well, by chance, the chair of the Lapal Restoration Trust was in touch with me, and this prompted me to return to the lost section of the Dudley No. 2 canal and to refresh the photo stream, which now can include a lot of new photographs and also the newly colourised versions, which really brings this long lost section to life. Now, for most of these photo streams, I can refer you back to one of my proper Canal Hunter videos, where I get out in the field and I can offer you a full historical context alongside exploring what remains today. But in this case, I haven't videoed the 5.5 mile line, so a little bit of history is probably in order. The Dudley No. 2 canal was built in 1798 as an extension to the earlier Dudley No. 1, connecting this older canal at Blowers Green to the Worcester-Birmingham Canal at Selly Oak. It offered a new lock-free route which crucially avoided paying tolls to the neighbouring BCN. The section to be covered by our photo stream today is from the southern end of the Gosty Hill Tunnel through Stewart and Lloyd's Tube Works and then past Horn Basin, a section which remains in water. And then we go out onto the lost section, which leads under the hill through to Selly Oak. The lost section can be broken into three distinct parts: Halesowen to the western end of the Lapal Tunnel, the Lapal Tunnel itself, and then the eastern section from California through to Selly Oak. And that's the way that we're going to trace the remains. Now, the Lapal Tunnel was and remains the Achilles heel of this waterway. A narrow gauge bore which was 3,795 yards long. That's over 2 miles in length. And it was built to unusually narrow dimensions. It started out at 9 feet wide, but the pressure on the brick liner caused this to narrow down to 7'9" at the waterline, only a few inches more than the boats which were asked to navigate it. And it was also low, just 6 feet high from waterline to the crown of the arch, very much like the other tunnel of its type at Gosty Hill. Now, a spot of mental maths tells us that if the tunnel is over 2 miles long and the total lost section is 5.5 miles long, over 1/3 is underground, which rather limits exploration either in person or in film. The constricted dimensions meant that no towpath was provided, and this made for a very slow passage. A loaded boat could take up to 4 hours to be legged or poled through. And so, in an attempt to address this slow speed of passage caused by the narrow dimensions, an innovative steam engine and scoop wheel was introduced in 1841 at the Halesowen end, and this was used to create an artificial flow through the tunnel towards the south. And this allowed the owners to alter the water levels at either end and help flush the boats through. Even so, the boat's passage time still took an onerous 2 hours. This tunnel was the 4th longest canal tunnel ever to be built in the UK, so its significance isn't to be underestimated. But from the outset, the unstable geology of the land proved to be a problem, and it was beset with partial collapses during its operational life. The ground it went through was wet running sand, and the rather aptly named architect William Underhill undertook the painful construction process. Ultimately, following extensive mining subsidence, there was a big roof fall, and the tunnel was finally closed to through traffic in 1917. So, whereas many of the BCN lost canal routes we have looked at were abandoned in the 1960s, the Lapal section of the Dudley No. 2 was lost as a through route over 100 years ago, and the remains are therefore rather more obscure. and with fewer built remains it attracted fewer amateur photographers, and therefore we have a less complete photographic record of how it used to look than we have elsewhere. The tunnel may have been blocked during the First World War, but the approaches remained in water for much longer, acting as two branch canals serving the industries which had grown up along its banks. The portals remained accessible until the early 1960s, and the last known inspection of the cave-in site was undertaken by Edwin Fasham. After that, the portals were covered over, and what's left of the tunnels were rendered inaccessible. Today, not only are the portals invisible, but the M5 construction may well have damaged the tunnel, certainly stopping any hope of physical restoration. That said, where there is a will, there is a way, and there are plans to restore this old canal, but instead of using the tunnel, it would involve a flight of locks at each end and pumps to lift the water. But that's all a long way off, and for the time being the restorers have got their eyes set initially on Selly Park and then ultimately through to California, just outside the old eastern portal. So that's a quick overview of the lost section of the Dudley No. 2 canal, and to help you understand where it ran in the context of today's landscape, I'm going to start with two short flybys created by Duncan Moore. The first one starts at Horn Basin on the western side and runs to the western end of the tunnel. And then the second starts in Selly Oak and flies to the west and ends up on the eastern portal of the tunnel in a place called California. This photo stream features a lot of new images, all of which have been colourised to offer a fresh insight into how this canal used to look. Now, it's recognised that this photo stream remains incomplete, so if you know of any photos which fill the gaps, please let me know. My plan is to get to this stretch of canal next winter and to give it the full Canal Hunter treatment, but for now, here is the latest version of the Lapal photo stream. Well, I hope you enjoyed that trip along the lost section of the Dudley No. 2 Canal, now better known as the Lapal Canal. It's a shame that there is so little to see of the central subterranean section. And to be honest, no one knows what state the tunnel is in today. There are no ways into the bore, so it's lain empty and quiet ever since a very young Edwin Fasham made his last exploration in the spring of 1961. That's now over 60 years ago. So that's it for this episode of Canal Hunter. Our collection of archive photos of the lost sections of the BCN have grown and improved, so you can expect to see a few more improved photo streams over the course of the summer. And of course, I'll be having a deeper look at this Lapal section, including the restoration activity, next winter. But for now, bye bye and happy hunting. Cheerio.